On Marisol's block near the East Houston Street, there was an empty lot that was filled with garbage and broken, tired things. It had a funky smell that made Marisol wrinkle her nose whenever she passed by. One April morning, Marisol was surprised to see many grown-ups busy in the lot. Mr. Ortsey carried a rusty refrigerator door. Miss Willie Mae Washington picked up newspapers. Mr. San rolled a tie away. The next afternoon, Marisol saw people digging up stones. Miss Otzer worked with a pickaxe. Kwaisa, Marisol asked. Miss Willie Mae Washington leaned on her shovel and wiped her forehead. I'm going to grow back-eyed peas and green and sweet potatoes too, she said, like my daddy's farm in Alabama. No more store-bought colored greens for me. Will we call it the Garden of Happiness? Mr. Sy said, I am planting vines such as a beautiful vine of lavender and red. Yes, everyone is happy when they see this being of bladish. On another day, Marisol watched Mr. Carsto prepping the ground. Mr. Rodazio rolled a wheelbarrow full of meat moss. Marisol inhaled the fresh soul of smelling spring. Oh, I want to plant something in the Garden of Happiness, Marisol said. Too late, Nina, Mr. Oates said. All the plots already taken. Marisol looked everywhere for a leftover spot, but the ground was crisscrossed by makers of sticks and string. He looked and looked. Just outside the chain link fence, she found a bit of earth where the sidewalk cracked. Maria, here's my patch, Marissa called. It was no longer than her hand, but it was her very own. She picked up the pebbles and scrapped with the soil and stick. Marisol noticed a crowd of teenagers across the street from the lot. They were staring at a brick wall, and it was said and closed. Up without windows for eyes, Marisol crossed over to ask what they were doing. City Arts is giving us paint to make a mural on the wall, a girl told her. What will it be? Marisol asked. I don't know yet. One of the big boys said, we haven't decided. I'm making a garden, Marisol said. I haven't decided either. What about what to plant? In the Garden of Happiness, the ground had become soft and dark. Mr. Castrol talked to seedlings as he placed them in straight rows. Come on now, little baby things grew nice and big for me. Marisol had no seedlings, even small cuttings or roots. What can I do, she thought. Where can I find something to plant? She went to the corner where old Miss Garissa was feeding the pigeons. Marisol helped herself to a big flat seed, and the birds fluttered around angrily. Only one, she told them, for my garden. Marisol skipped back to her path. She poked a hole with her finger and dropped the seed in and patted the soil around it. Every single day that spring, Marisol carried water cans to the lot and gave her seed a cool drink. Before long, a green shoot broke through even Marceau's patch. Even on rainy days, she hurried to the lot to see. Soon there were 2 leaves on a strong, straight stack, and then there were 4. It became as high as Marceau's knee. Green things were growing all around. In the Garden of Happiness, Mr. Castrol's tiny seeds became big bushes of things with ripe tomatoes shining like rubies. That's my plant, Marceau added. Now he reached to her shoulder. What's it gonna be? Dunno, Miss Willie Mae Washington answered, but it's sure gonna be something. Marceau pulled up one of the weeds in the late afternoons when it was summer hot. Sometimes she watched the teenagers across the street. They measured the wall and they talked and argued about what they would paint. Often Marceau saw Miss Ox and his plot, resting in a chair. I come back from the factory and breathe the fresh air, he said, and I sit among my habitus bed, my little piece of Puerto Rico. Is my plant from Puerto Rico. Do you know what it is? Marceau added. Mr. Oaks shook his head and laughed. Am I? Grandi. Maybe it's Jack's beanstalk from the fairy tale. By the end of July, Marceau's plant had grown in a way overhead, and then at the very top, Marceau saw a bud. It became fatter every day. She could wait for it to open. Now, don't be looking so hard, Miss Willie Mae Washington chuckled. It's going to open up and behind your back, just when you're thinking about something else. One morning, Marceau saw an amazing sight from half a way down the block. She ran the rest of the way, standing higher than all the other plants. Vines and garden was a flower as big as a plate. Her bud had turned into petals of yellow and gold. A sunflower, Miss Anderson explained as she pushed her shopping cart by, reminds me of when I was a girl in Kansas. Miss Makajuska was rushing on her way to the subway, but then she skidded to a stop. Ah, so pretty! In the fields of Portland, old Miss Grayson shook her head. No, Las Gabas from Mexico. There, where they bring joy to the roadside. I guess they make themselves right at home in every sun-kissed place on the earth. Miss Willie Mae Washington said, even right here in New York City. Marceau said proudly. The flower was glowing circle, brighter than a yellow taxi. A flower of sunshine, Marceau thought, the happiest plant in the Garden of Happiness. All summer long, it made the people on the street stop and smile. Soon, the air became cool and crisp with autumn. Mr. Castrol picked the last of his tomatoes. Mr. Sand carried away the basket full of beans, and Mrs. Rogers picked her tomatoes. to dry and cut up for salsa, she said. Miss Willie Mae Washington dug up her orange potatoes. I can almost smell my sweet potato pie, she wrinkled as I'm going to save an extra big slice for a good little gardener I know. But something is terrible was happening in Marissa's flowers. Its leaves were turning brown and dry. Marissa watered and watered until a stream ran down the sidewalk, but her flower leaves began to fall. Please get well again, Marissa whispered. Every day, more golden petals curled and faded. My flower of sunshine is sick, Marissa cried. What should I do? Oh, child, Miss Willie Mae Washington said, its season is over. There is a time to bloom and a time to die. No, I don't want my flower to die. My crano. I don't cry, Miss Rogers said. That is the way of a garden. You must save the seeds and plant again in the next spring. Marissa's flowers dropped to the ground. The garden of happiness wasn't happy for her anymore. The vines had tumbled down. The bushy green plants were all gone. She collected the seeds and put them in her pocket, but spring was much too far away. Marissa was too sad to go to the empty lot anymore. For a whole week, she couldn't even look down at the block where her beautiful flower used to be. Then one day, she heard people calling her name. Marissa, come quick! Marissa, hurry! A golden haze shone on the street. There was a big crowd like on a holiday. Music from the broad Aegea was loud and bright, and that she saw Marissa laugh and dance and clap her hands.